Hi guys, this is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com and elearntarot.com. And today, in the next phase of our Decan Walk, I'm gonna take a look at Five of Pentacles, which is Mercury in Taurus, right? So essentially, this is the first decan of Taurus, and we have entered Taurus time. I mean, to be fair, we already did that on the 21st of April. And the 10 days starting from the 21st of April to the 30th of April are they are what, the time frame rather for the first decan of Taurus is all about. And the planet associated with that is Mercury. So today we are going to look at, and of course that's associated with the Five of Pentacles, the minor arcana card, that we are also going to sort of examine and understand how Mercury in Taurus shows up in this particular sort of space. And we're going to understand the astrology of it all and everything. So yeah. And so before I get into it, there is a little bit I just want to say that after I record these videos, I sort of take the audio of it and I transcribe it, and then I use that to create a blog post. And I would definitely say, please go check out the blog post as well, because occasionally what happens is while I'm writing stuff down, I might think of something, which I do actually towards the end of the blog post. I do end up thinking of various journal prompts and such. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, if you're interested in any additional thoughts that sort of pop into my head after the video has been made, then definitely go look into the blog post. For you might find something over there for all the extras that later come up in my head. All right, so let's go. Let's take a look at Five of Pentacles. And my goodness, right? Anybody who is into tarot, we kind of look at this card and we're like, oh no, right? Like nobody wants to see this card. But it is interesting that I have discovered certain aspects of this card, and I took a look at this card image again as I'm learning more of the astrology aspect of it. So I hope this discovery is useful for you too, as well as to understand this card and what it's all about. So let's start with the decan, right? And this decan, which is Taurus 1, which is from the 1st to the 10th degree of Taurus, uh, 21st April to 30th April. And there are a couple of different descriptions of this particular decan, but the most popular one involves a woman with curly hair, and she's wearing fiery clothes. You can see that in the image of this decan card here. They've shown like she's wearing clothes, and then there's like little fires here and there, and then everything is on fire, like a fury energy around her. So could be, but if you see this lady, she's wearing red clothes which kind of look like flames. Her hair is also kind of like flames. So different artists, different interpretations, I suppose. But yeah, we have this woman wearing fiery clothes, and her she has a son whose also clothes also look like smothering embers. So here we have this little baby with smothering embers for clothes. This lady doesn't have that. That's okay. um Interestingly enough, the interpretation or the meaning of this or rather this time frame is connected with planting and cultivation, building and development, ethics and wisdom, dividing of land, and engineering, which again, I honestly don't see the connection. If you can, please let me know, but I don't see what, wearing fairy clothes has anything to do with planting and cultivation. But hey, this is old stuff, so I really don't understand that. But here in this card, at least we do see the fairy clothes and the lady with the baby and everything. And we do see in the Telos Tarot deck image, we do see the lady with the fairy clothes. We also see the planting and cultivation happening. We see the land is being divided and sort of sectioned up for, okay, we'll plant this here, we'll plant that here. So there is that growth and development. We also see these little things here, which again, I will talk about this when we look at the Five of Pentacles specifically, because I believe this means something else. And when we look at that part, we'll go there. But essentially, we do see the energy here, at least with the fairy clothes, and we do see the planting and cultivation happening. The keyword here is worry, which is very, very interesting. Again, we'll look into that as we go ahead. But yeah, this is the Decan, which kind of makes sense. This meaning actually makes more sense, because if we've seen so far, Aries was all about sort of the beginning of spring, and while in the 2 and 3 and 4 of wands, which were in the first three decans, all the three decans of Aries, we had the sort of the emperor go out there, conquer the land, set things in motion, and sort of get married, have a party. So all that celebration is there. But what about, once you've conquered it, you got to start planting. And plus, uh, spring has happened, and now we are settling in. We are starting Taurus season again. The vibe of Taurus, we'll get into that, but the vibe of Taurus is all about the earth. It's an earth sign, and spring has sprung, and so now it's time to plant the seeds. So let's get to it. That's what this whole vibe of this Decan is. Let's start planting. Let's start doing the things we need to do. And maybe the worry comes from there, because once we start doing that, we do tend to worry. We do tend to start thinking about it. So okay, let's see how it plays out. Let's start looking at the planet first. And we have Mercury here. And this is an interesting planet to have, but Mercury is all about the mind, right? Mercury is an air planet, right? And it is all about the mind. Mercury, I believe in Roman mythology, is Hermes. And you could even connect it with Thoth, who is the Egyptian god. And so he's all about the mind. He's all about the intellect. He's about how your mind works, all the different things your mind can come up with. It's about how you stimulate your mind. It's about common sense and reason, and how you think, right? What ways your brain works, your mind works. Mercury is also about expressing those thoughts. So, which is why all these thoughts and ideas, what are the words you use, how you write it, how you present it, your style of communication, speech, writing, even your habits, your learning habits, right? The various skills you have. What are the three things that you find yourself interested in? All the mind related stuff. Interestingly, because of that, Mercury also is all about commerce and business, because you do need to have a very sharp and smart mind, and a mind capable of connecting and communicating, and sort of expressing ideas. So commerce and business is a great one. We do see adaptability and versatility here, because you need to, in order to do that, you need to be talking to all sorts of people, different kinds of people, and communicating with them through, in different phases, which makes sense. This is an interesting one: the travels, the change, the transitions. Now we'll talk about it. See, Mercury, or Hermes, uh, because he is the god of communication, and he was a messenger god. So in the Greek and Roman mythologies, he had the ability. He was the only one, I think, who could go through all the realms. So the underworld, the regular world, and then the heavens. This was a god, because his job was to carry messages back and forth. He could travel through all the realms, right? And which makes sense, because if he has the power to communicate and to express, he is able to communicate with different kinds of people from all the different realms. So traveling also, interestingly, comes under the realm of Mercury. Changes, transitions, and the agility, the adaptability to do that, that also falls under the realm of Mercury. So Mercury isn't just like some random planet just floating about. It has a lot to sort of value to give in your chart and in your reading. Now, the sort of the darker side of Mercury, if you will, he is a trickster god, right? Like he needs to be this way in order to manipulate. Perhaps he needs to have that trickster quality to make things happen in all the different sectors that he's traveling through. I believe in even in Hindu mythology we have a god like that called Narad. He's not necessarily a god, but he's able to travel through all the different realms. He's a sage. What I would like to say is that there is such a god in every mythology. He's able to travel and go everywhere and communicate and connect and use a few tricks to get things moving. This ability again, psychopomp, the ability to go from realm to realm. But now, when all these beautiful abilities sort of go on the darker side, thoughts can become fickle, superficial, thinking can become shallow, your thoughts could be scattered, you could become prejudiced, there's dishonesty, and because you're hurrying, you could make mistakes. So it's all, the darker side of Mercury. Now, I know a lot of us, when we look at the astrology aspects, sometimes we're like, oh, Mercury retrograde. We hear a lot about Mercury retrograde. And that is because Mercury is a planet that is the closest to the sun in our solar system. And because it's all the orbits are sort of concentric in a way, very simplistically put. So what happens is Earth is moving at a different speed, Mercury is moving at a different speed. So while the planet isn't actually moving backwards, we feel that it does because everything moves relative to each other. So when planets go, and Mercury is not the only planet, all planets end up going retrograde now and then. So when that happens with Mercury, that is again, a lot of people think, oh, retrograde, things get real tricky. And Mercury, I think, does retrograde a couple of times or 3 times during the year, which makes sense. Mercury, therefore, can cause, when it's retrograde, people are like, oh, things just aren't so great, like communicating, you could glitch with those things, you could have miscommunications happen, which is why they say, hey, be careful, read through the contract twice, thrice before signing, or don't start anything, don't sign anything. Makes sense. Retrogrades, by and large, I have found, are times where we need to just double check and triple check everything. And the reason I bring it up in this particular card is because, well, this card is called worry in many systems. So, like, maybe you should. Maybe you should. Okay. Mercury as a planet also rules 2 signs. We have Gemini and we have Virgo. Now, Gemini is an air sign, so that's, at least these elements are compatible. Virgo is an earth sign, which according to elemental dignities, is a element which is like completely in opposition with Mercury. So if ever there is such a combination, we'll see how that plays out. But interesting, right? Okay. So let's go. Let's move to our tarot cards and see how this energy of Mercury shows up in the tarot card of the Magician. That's the card associated with Mercury. My gosh, look at these cards. Now, all of these are, the card is called the Magician, or the Magus, right? When we say magician, it's all about being perceived as such, or someone who can make things happen like magic, right? Like almost as if by magic. So see how different decks show it. In the Rider-Waite, this magician stands with that whole, with the wand up here, saying he's sort of channeling the energy, and then he points downwards and he takes that energy and he manifests it. We see all these flowers here. We see that the lemniscate, and we see the snake, and the whole, all the different symbols here. We have all the four elements here: the wands, the cup, the sword, and the pentacle, everything. So in short, we see him harnessing the energy of all the elements, using his knowledge, using his wisdom, using his ability, using basically the knowledge to know that yes, everything transforms. Energy only transforms from one form to the other, and he's making it happen just by the force of his will, right? So he's bringing that forth, which is interesting. We will see these lilies and roses again, interestingly enough. But yeah, we have this beautiful thing. The roses are red, which is the active energy, and lilies are like the white, peaceful energy. That's how I see it. So he's bringing that into play. So this card does talk about someone who is creative, someone who loves to make things happen. He loves to take charge. He's able to, do it. But he can also be flirtatious, manipulative, egotistical. He likes taking control, and he has this whole ability of manifesting through his will, right? So it's the whole as above, so below thing. So here's the Mercury energy showing up here in the ability to communicate with the universe itself, to harness the different aspects of the universe to make things happen, right? To manipulate, to take charge, and to communicate, to lead, to be creative, right? This is the big vibe of Mercury here. The Marseille Tarot magician, his lemniscate is in this hat that he wears, kind of little subtle lemniscate here. But we see a lot more. We see this little man purse he has. He's got his stuff out. He's got the wand, but he's also got, like, I don't know, stuff. Like there's a knife. These are little things. This could, this is an image which is pretty similar to the tricksters and the hustlers and maybe an actual magician, sleight of hand, as they call it, right? And he's looking in another direction. And he's wearing all these colorful clothes, and all the green is all about creating and forming, and all the earthy energies. So interestingly, he's bringing it. This is the picture of misdirection and sleight of hand. This is the picture of a trickster, a hustler, as if you will. But yes, this is also all about a new initiative, because he's now starting something. This is the first card, number one. He is all about the ego. There's self-centered energies here. Right? He's got all the tools at his disposal, or you're acquiring new skills, training, right? But it's all about how your thought creates your reality. That's where the Mercury energy shows up. It's in the head, it's in the thinking, and how he's using that to, I don't know, misdirect people while he does some sleight of hand here, maybe. That's the vibe in this one. In the Thought Tarot, we also see him sort of, floating, flying. We see this is the whole Hermes energy with the flying sandals, and, we have all the different things floating around. He's again, as above, so below. He's making things happen, right? So we have the inspired mental agility, perceptiveness, and it's like he's floating through this energy field here. It's beautiful. This is Hermes going from realm to realm, even like the dark realm, the light realm. He's taking charge. He's making things happen. This is mastery, right? This is not just like he's performing tricks, or maybe he's being perceived as a magician because he can make things happen. But here we have the image of, he has the mastery over these elements, which is why he can make it happen. He's skilled with it. He's proficient with it. And he has full trust on his abilities. So now when you see this here, we do see the ape here. This ape I believe is a representation of thought. So that's the connection with the ape. If you're wondering why is the ape here, we have an ape here too. Is a connection with thought. And we see this. Oh look, there's a lemniscate here. we have all this lemniscate here as well. Look at this. This is interesting how the imagery comes up. Hmm? And so yeah, this is will force manifesting reality through elemental mastery. Well said. Creative power of words and thoughts, knowledge, skills, transmission and reception of messages, and of course, trickster. See, the trickster ability or vibe of Mercury is prevalent in all these four cards. I find that very fascinating. And well, my personal encounter, like with this card in the sense of, when I did the entering the card, sort of meditation. Yes, the magician is quite flirtatious. Well, yes, I will agree with you there. So yes, this is a guy who uses his brain. This is the planet, rather the planet Mercury is someone who uses their intellectual powers to get what they want. They will use their mind, their knowledge, their intellect, their abilities, whatever it is that they need, they will get it to get what they want. They will use every trick in the book to get what they want. That's the whole vibe, which is fantastic. Now, let's look at the sign, which is Taurus. Taurus is the second sign of our zodiac. And Taurus is, after this crazy Aries energy of, let's just rush right out of the gate and run and let's get things going, this whole passion energy. Right away, as soon as Taurus is there, we kind of take a pause, we kind of slow down, we put our feet on the ground and we are like, okay, here we are. The image of Taurus is that of a bull, right? And the keyword here is cultivate, which is interesting. And again, remember the vibe of the Decan was planting and cultivation. Hmm? So Taurus is all about being steady, being stable, to sort of, persistent and plodding. It's like the bull, when the bull is just sort of going and doing, doing repetitive tasks without getting bored or without getting tired. It is patient. It endures. It's tenacious. It is also very strong, unyielding. They like to dig right in. They are, in that sense, they can be very reliable. Their actions are very deliberate. And they are practical. They are very, very much rooted in the material world. This is the very first earth sign. So yeah, it's gonna be that way, right? They love plants and flowers. They have this very earthy, sensual vibe. They are, Taurus is ruled by Venus, which we saw, I think, yeah, in the previous card. We know Venus is all about beautiful, beautiful things, and anything that gives you pleasure. So Taurians will obviously search for sensual, artistic things, and anything that would bring them pleasure. Very, very materialistic. And this is the thing: their innate sense of material worth is exactly what drives the Taurian people. They will prioritize material security and sensual love, right? So yeah, plowing, planting, nurturing, fertilizing, protecting, growing roots. So it's all these vibes for Taurus, right? When it goes a little negative ish, we could say they could be very stubborn, very possessive. They like to acquire the things that they want. Hmm? They could be self indulgent and the change resistant, stick in the mud kind of people. And this is an interesting one, looking for spiritual and emotional answers in a materialistic world, right? So this is the very Taurian vibe where they are all about, planting themselves firmly in the ground, not yielding, but keep going, keep doing, repetition, plodding through it patiently, but also loving the earthy, sensual, and things around them. They like it. They like the nice things, and they like having them. They like being able to buy them. They like being able to sort of surround themselves with it. They are acquisitive, right? And then that's where they want all their answers. So when we look at the tarot cards, especially the Hierophant, see, this is the fun one, right? Like, because all throughout, whenever I used to learn and study the tarot, I used to be like, oh yeah, the Hierophant is associated with Taurus. Don't ask me why. But now that I'm looking at this Taurian energy and I'm looking at the Hierophant energy, and I'm like, maybe it's making some sense, right? Because the Hierophant, right? Most of these cards, if we see this, the Tarot de Marseille literally calls it the Pope. The word Hierophant means the religious leader or religious figure. We see a priest or pope-like character sitting here on his throne. We have the triple cross and the hat thing, right? We have the keys. We have keys here in the Marseille Tarot. I don't see them, but if you see them, let me know. But we definitely have keys here. We have keys here. We have keys. This guy's holding a big key here. These are the keys to knowledge and wisdom. We definitely have students here, right? See here, the roses and the lilies show up. Interesting, yeah. We have the students here as well. Mm, well, we have the angel and the bull and the lion and the eagle. These are the four creatures that typically we would see in your world card and even in the Wheel of Fortune card. I believe it has something to do with the Revelations chapter in the Bible. But we also have something similar here. The point is, this card is about a person who is in charge of leading people. Uh, Very unlike the emperor who kind of leads his kind of kingdom in a certain way. The Pope is talking, or the Hierophant is a religious teacher, a religious leader. So it's about a religion, it's about faith, it's about your belief, right? And faith and belief systems will I mean, my personal belief is that it kind of comes from your culture, but sometimes it also works the other way around. It influences the culture. So it helps build your society, it helps build moral beliefs, it helps build different structures and systems. I've also found this vibe with different, big organizations and institutions. It's about rules, and following the rules is about teaching, teachers, learning, students, right? Old fashioned, formal. uh, Over here as well, this whole, the blessings, the benediction, and quite interestingly, right now we have, the conclave happening for the new pope, for electing the new pope, which pretty interesting, right? Like Taurus time, like that. We have blessings from heaven. He is the teacher. Here are the students, right? Like it's all there. The symbolism here too. We have faith and belief. We have conviction, rituals, and now I see the connection, because you see, in all for the whole Taurus vibe, where you have to dig in, you have to keep doing it, you have to keep plodding away at it. Sometimes learning something, pursuing something, even teaching something requires you to be very deliberate, very systematic, to follow the system, to enforce that system. It requires you to be sort of, to dig right in and say, no, this is it. And it's a slow process. It's not an overnight thing. It is a slow journey. Even, taking that, rules of morality, sometimes taken too far, sometimes not taken too far. It's again, those are very subjective and other things, but if we look at it from a very pure perspective, I can actually see how the connection between Hierophant and Taurus kind of makes sense, because in order to teach and in order to learn, you gotta be able to sort of just sit with your work and keep going at it, right? And religion, this is a very personal thing, but in my personal perspective, religion creates a sort of a very formalized, but also a very applicable to everybody kind of, framework, which kind of says, okay, here is sort of, these are the things you can do to maybe get closer to God, or to get to understand your faith better, to understand the things better. These are maybe the rules you could follow. And it gives you a ready-made sort of framework to start off with. And once you've kind of, lived in that, or worked with that, you need to then, I think that, because that's that this part's my personal thing. It's, where you can be like, okay, now I need to find my own way, because now I've figured it out. I've learned the formal lessons. Now it's my personal journey to connect with the higher energies. But yeah, you do see that, right? You see this religious person creating the necessary framework through faith, through belief, through education and learning. And it's interesting that back in the early days, only people who were part of the church had access, regular people who became part of the church had access to education. So you have all of that. You have enlightened teaching, esoteric knowledge, mentoring. But yes, this person, this teacher is also supposed to have traveled this path. Like at one point, maybe he's a student. He was a student. Now he is the teacher. And he has followed that system to become this person here. Right? So, yeah, we have doctrines and dogmas and, joining the above with the below. This is an interesting one. So we do see all of that happening here with the Hierophant, and that is the Taurian sort of plodding energy digging right in. And because another thing, the whole, material aspect of it. Well, these teachers are living in the material world and are certainly enjoying certain benefits of this material world. They have, because of their position, they do enjoy a certain, sort of, luxury maybe. But yeah, it is a lovely vibe. Now, that makes the connection between the Hierophant and Taurus kind of obvious and nice. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Okay, okay. All right, so let's go ahead and see how this planet and the sign kind of, come together. This is the card from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, which shows us the Taurus bull, the parrot. There's the the symbol of Taurus. There's growing plants and birds. This is nice. So Mercury is about change. Taurus is about material values. And so we're looking at change in material values. And then the keyword here is resistance, right? Because obviously Taurians being so slow and deliberate, with Mercury being able to sort of zip around like crazy, going fast. It is a very very, very much, a combination that's full of tension, really. Because Mercury is, even the word mercurial means someone who's always changing so easily. Whereas the Taurians want to go slow, steady, deliberately. So that is the energy, right? So between them, they can be very practical, methodical, and decisive because, the Mercury energy, common sense, right? Intellect with material values is also common sense. Purposeful, they have powers, of concentration. So this intellect of Mercury, when sort of tempered with the Taurian values, you can focus on things for some time. They are preoccupied with money and, well, Mercury has business sense. They prefer concrete results. And they need sound reasoning for also anything, for business activities, anything, to be fair. They are all about, thinking from a financial angle, accounts, economics, business, travel, contracts. All this is very Mercury. But all of this is also very straightforward because of Taurus and no nonsense, yeah, authoritative. And of course, they enjoy the comfort and life's pleasures like beauty and art. The flip side, they can be very rigid, immovable, defensive, suspicious, cautious, slow to change, obstinate, and stubborn. So, this is the energy of Mercury in Taurus, right? The very fast moving, quick thinking Mercury in this slow, steady, grounded sign of Taurus brings some really good energies, right? We have focus, we have someone who likes to see concrete results and sound reasoning coming in. We have someone who is very sincerely sort of methodical and common sense and all of that. But this can also change to be something very suspicious, cautious, or slow to change and obstinate. So it's like, and so this is the resistance, this is the tension between these two energies. So again, maybe the parrot is the symbol of Mercury, like, the constant talking and, flipping about, and then we have the bull who is like steadily going. Maybe. But yeah, that's Mercury in Taurus. Oh yeah, the number. We have the number 5, right? 5 of Pentacles. 5 is an interesting number. 5 is also the number for Hierophant. And 5 is all about challenges. 5 is also associated with the Kabbalah Tree of Life Sephiroth called Geburah, which is all about restrictions and limitations. So that's where the challenge energy comes from. That's where it can create discord and strife and crisis. 5 energies are very, full of all that vibe. Like, things aren't going to be the same no more. And if you think about it, like before 5, at 4 everything was stable, but 5 changes all of that. It creates that challenge, which could lead to crises, could strife, and create a struggle. But this also then facilitates interaction, communication, right? In order to traverse that strife territory, you need to learn how to talk, to communicate, to sort of, bring some coordination. You need to engage all of your senses. So that's the energy of 5, bringing that much needed. It just shakes everything up. And this is interesting for tarot students. Look at all the 5s, the minor arcana 5s, not every 5 of Wands, 5 of Cups, 5 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles. All of those 5s are like, oh no, right? There is a reason for that, because 5 is associated with that vibe, the number 5. So, with all this in our heads, let's look at 5 of Pentacles. Ta-da! This is Mercury in Taurus again. I'm going to come to this Rider-Waite image at the absolute end, because there's so much I want to talk about it. But let's start from this one. The Tarot de Marseille one. Okay. Now, if you see the Marseille Tarot deck, the 4 of Pentacles has these 4 pentacles, taking up space nicely, and there's like a shield or something in the middle, if I remember correctly. But now this 5th pentacle has popped in there, and it has pushed these 4 to the corners, and it's taking up space. Now, these leaves here are protecting it, or they're creating a boundary or something. These flowers, if you see, well, they are starting to bloom. So, where the 4 pentacles, and pentacles are earth energy, right? Taurus. So, we are looking at a stable vibe, but then the 5th one comes in, throwing us everything into disarray. There is a disruption of stable patterns. This could mean, something new is popping up, which you might see success in something new. A new element that takes central place, arousing resistance. You see these. So these leaves, are they protecting this one, or are they protecting these 4 pentacles? Or they're just being like, let's just not have conflict here. Let's just come in and create some barriers. The change is being resisted because the 5th shows up, but then these guys are like, let's take it slow, let's resist. Nobody likes change. Not many people are okay with changing things, and so there is that strong resistance. This card can also talk about something being outdated and pushed aside, right? So you could interpret this in 2 different ways. Either it's being protected and sort of nourished, or it's being pushed away. One thing is for certain, change has come in. Things aren't the same stable, dependable vibe anymore. Now, if you look at this one, the image from the fourth deck, this image is pretty interesting because if I'm to quote from Duquette's book, this is five ponderous gear wheels laid one upon another like the inner workings of a huge and grotesque clock. So these are gear wheels laid on on top of each other, and they they all bear different symbols over here. We see similar symbols here as well. Okay, so those are those symbols. So I believe this is the triangle is fire, which you see over here as well. Then this crescent moon is water. See that here as well. Then we have a air here. It's a dragonfly here, isn't it? For air. That's cute. And then this square is earth, and we have here. Oh, this is air. I don't know. I can't make this up. But this is supposed to be earth though. If it's matching this, right? And then finally we have this black egg, which is supposed to be spirit, and we have that here. So we have all these different elements coming together, but then it forms like an inverse pentacle, which basically is the triumph of matter over spirit. So this is bringing turning things around. This is like spiritual matters are pushed aside. We are now focused very much on the material matters, and that's where the worry comes in, because you are trying to change things and make things happen in the material world. Here you're planting, and this is an interesting metaphor, that planting and cultivation. Like when you start planting your crops, you are planting, but then you do worry, because will it rain? Will I be able to finish this in time? Or after finishing it, will I need more resources? Will I need to put fertilizer? Will I do this? Will I do that? Will it rain on time? I hope it only rains like as much as it's supposed to rain. If it rains more, what will happen? How will I safeguard this? How right from the time of planting till the time of cultivation, harvesting, everything, you will worry, right? Everything goes right, because a lot of things are in your hand, but a lot of things are not in your hand, and you worry about the things that are in your hand. You worry if you'll be able to do them properly. Things which are not in your hand, you worry if they will happen properly. So with all that worry makes sense. The Taurus energy focusing on material matters is very much there. Focusing on the practical aspects of life is there. Focusing on working through things, making it happen, plodding through it is also there. But then the Mercurian worrying energy also shows up, saying, hey, wait, what is this new thing? Or will all these gears, turn on in the right way? Will everything kind of be working out here too, right? So yeah, we have this worry. We have financial loss, right? Like you worry about it, sometimes you manifest it. We have setbacks, because again, the number 5 bringing that very tense energy of challenges and discord and strife. So we have all those sort of coming together, making it happen. So we have monetary anxiety, drudgery without results, negative thinking patterns, triumph of matter over spirit. We also see the planting, plowing, and all that. Will the seeds bear fruit? The worry whether things may or may not work out, right? What are the potential issues? And you need to plan carefully, right? So you do see that mercurial thinking, overthinking, worrying about everything vibe come in. And those worries are about the very Taurian, earthy matters, the money matters. So you do see that, which is wow. So now let's come to the Rider-Waite card, because I want to leave the best for last, right? Now here we have an interesting energy. we have well, it's snowing. That's like a very different earthy vibe. We have these two beggar people. One lady who's old. She's probably not wearing shoes. This guy is limping. He has crutches. He has this bell, I believe. Like if he every time he sort of takes a step, the bell will ring. They're standing outside this building now, and in the stained glass window, we have these five pentacles sort of shining, which kind of tell us that, okay, inside that building, well, things could be warm, but here they are left out in the cold, right? This card, typically, we look at it, we're like, oh no, this is hardship, this is poverty, this is struggle, feeling left out in the cold, this is about rejection, this and that. Fine. One of my students, she taught me this one, which I absolutely adore. The meaning is like when your times are difficult, that's when you find who your true friends are, right? Like these two have not left each other's side. And this is, so when I look at this, we do see this whole crisis energy, the challenge, the strife, the hardship of five show up. It is about money, so we have that very Taurian vibe where financially things are really hard. Even these two, in order to make things work, have to really keep pushing through it, even through difficult, adverse circumstances. And of course, the very Mercurian worry is also on their minds. Now, this dude, he looks at this window. He's looking up there. And he's like, so again, so that's the whole rejection vibe coming in. Like he was thrown out of that church, because this is supposed to be the church building, right? That's what I've studied. So either the church did not give him the safety sanctuary that he was looking for. So that kind of, spiritually he was rejected and physically he was rejected kind of thing. Or he thought that, even if I do go and ask, will they take me in? So there's that doubt that creeps in, and that could be one of the meanings. Now, all of this was fantastic, and so far in my entire sort of study of this card, I went along with it until I believe a few months ago when I was watching this series called The Chosen. I don't know if you guys have seen it or watched it. It's There's also an app. If you're into that sort of thing, you can download it. But the point is, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You just you go to or you have their website and you can watch it. It's about Jesus Christ and his various life path, that the path that he followed. And I believe the whole thing is crowdfunded, so I find that pretty wild. Now, in that series, uh, there are two people. There is a blind lady and a guy who is limping. I believe Barnaby and Shula. Her name is Shula, and that guy who is limping, his name is Barnaby. And I mean, when I saw them together at first, I was like, wait a minute. And then, there's one incident, and I will post the link in the video description. There is a YouTube video with the whole scene in it, where, of course, Jesus heals Shula, who is blind. I'm not saying that this is them, but, and as far as Google goes, I have Googled and found that actually that wasn't a real, story. That wasn't an actual story that happened, but they've taken different incidences and put them together. Sort of very creative vibe. But the whole conversation, if you watch that video, you will see there's one point where, because Jesus is doing all these healings for people, and then Barnaby and Shula in this series, they have been there right from the start, heard Jesus, heard what he had to say, and they've been like his followers and believers and all that. And at one point, finally, Barnaby brings Shula to Jesus, and he's like, "Hey, will you?" He wants Jesus to heal her of the blindness. And and since they've been around for a while, so he's like, why haven't you come to me before? And so he asks, at first he thinks it's Barnaby who is also, like, Shula has brought Barnaby to be healed, But Barnaby's like, no, no, I brought Shula to be healed. And then he's like, hey, what happened? Like, why have you never asked me to heal you? And she's like, well, you're busy, you have other things to do, and you're a busy person, I'm used to my life. And he's like, don't you have faith that I can heal you? And then of course he proceeds to heal her. And then of course he's like, what about you, Barnaby? And Barnaby's like, nah, it's all right. Like, again, the thread that really got to me was both of them believed in Jesus insofar as they believed everything that he said and did, and they believed all the miracles he was doing, the healings he was doing. But when it came to themselves, they hesitated, uh, maybe because they were like, oh, we are too insignificant to ask for help or to ask to be healed. We aren't like so great people that, even if we heal, or, what will we do? Like something held them back, their own doubts, their own self doubts, perhaps. They never doubted that he could heal them. They doubted their eligibility to receive that healing, right? Like that's how I have understood it. I'll put the link in the description. You can totally go check out the video. If you've seen the series, definitely let me know what you thought, because that scene I was sobbing. Many other scenes were there, of course, but I was watching it and I was like, oh my god, right? So this is the thing. This made, then I remembered and I remembered this Five of Pentacles card, and I'm like, oh my god, these two guys, Barnaby and Shula. Of course, they are not there in the actual Bible, but I can see the dots connecting, right? Like when he's looking up here. So is he doubting that I will receive what I want from this space, right? The church, or from religion, from God, or from whoever. This could be any institution, really, because they're out in the cold like that. What are the doubts, right? Are you doubting that they will help you, or are you doubting that you are worthy of being helped? Right? So there's, again, of course, the Rider Waite brings more, right? It always adds a little bit more to the image. Like, so if you ask me, so far, the way I'm seeing it, that the very traditional, straightforward interpretation comes from the Marseille. The thought has astrology, but also a little bit of Kabbalah into this story. The Telos Tarot is bringing everything in there, so it's fantastic. But the Rider Waite has its own sort of, additional take here, asking you to question the different perspectives as well, and it adds its own little bit into it. So yeah, that's your Five of Pentacles, Mercury in Taurus, where your Mercury is thinking and trying to create the change, but Taurus is like, slow down, let's think about this. And because of that, we're ended up worried about everything that we do, that we don't do, that we're supposed to receive, that we're supposed to give, everything. We just, worry. I like that keyword. It makes complete sense. Okay. So yeah, let's look at the supporting cast, right? Because these guys are, helping hold these cards together, at least hold the Five of Pentacles together. We have the Ace of Pentacles. We've seen these guys before. In the Four of Wands, we've seen them before, so I'm not going to linger here. The Ace of Pentacles saying, hey, this is all about money. It's all about the material aspects of earth. This is literally about earthy money matters. Finally, I think the ace is coming into its own territory, because we are now in Taurus, which is an earth sign. It's like, here I am. Here we are. This is all literally about practical earthy matters, right? And although you have these blessings, you're still going to worry. These are the seeds, but you're going to worry about planting them, and if you're doing the right thing. Even the pages worry. They're involved in sort of doing a good job, sincerely trying to do everything correctly, but yes, they will worry. The Five of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles bringing that action vibe, right? So now we can see how they are, they have the seeds, they have all this, and they're like, okay, I am here, literally, see this guy again with the seeds in his hand. He's like, okay, I have my field ready, it's plowed, now I have to plant the seeds, cultivate it. So yeah, the Knight brings the action vibe, but again, because Mercury, I think, in here would be like, thinking, overthinking, worrying, right? It's all there. I like it. I like it. This makes sense. Maybe because it's an earth sign, who knows? Here we are. So let's put it all together in this neat little mind map, which I will put in the thingy with the downloads folder, so you can have just this as a handout if you want. I have also created, just maybe I should mention this right at the outset. I've also created the PDFs for 2 of Wands, 3 of Wands. I think 4 of Wands are already, yeah, it's there. But I've also made for 2 of Wands and 3 of Wands, and now this 5 of Pentacles. So all the PDFs are there for all these videos. You can go download them. The links are in the video description. Yep. So 5 of Pentacles, Mercury in Taurus, worrying and resisting material changes. That's how I would call it. Cool. So, wow. We just under 1 hour. It's gotta be some sort of record, I think. Anyhow, so let me know what you guys think. Please let me add your thoughts, your feelings, your comments, your interpretations, your understanding, your thoughts, anything, whatever, anything that you have to share. If this made sense, if it didn't make sense at all, or your how you would connect the dots. Please share all of this in the comments, and please also take a look at my blog, because I'm sure as I go write everything over there, I will have more things and thoughts and what have you coming up, and well, journal prompts and stuff is in there, so totally go take a look. All right, I will see you again in a few days with 6 of Pentacles. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.